You know, one thing that you might not know about me is that I consider 13 my lucky number. And I'm hoping it's my lucky number because we take on my beloved Portsmouth in this episode, who have been promoted to the Championship under Kenny Jackett for the first time. Should it have happened a long time ago? Yes, it should have. In the last episode, we took on Reading at home, which was our first home game of the season, and after leading 1-0 at the break, we ended up losing by 2-1 in the second half. Tony Pulis, he's done it again. And following that Reading game, we took on one of Tony Pulis' former sides in Stoke City away from home, and we beat them by 2-0. Joe Jacobson scored a free kick from 30 yards which went into the top corner, and then Dominic Gape added a second in injury time to give us all 3 points away from home again. And then in the following game we took on Barnsley away in the Carabao Cup, and we were knocked out by 2-0, which means I've not progressed past the first round in either of the 2 ties that I've played with Wycombe. And also I was playing a second string team anyway. And I say second string, but I don't really have enough players to call it a second string, so it's a bit embarrassing to call it my first team, I'm not gonna lie. Lee Bowyer, who's in charge of Charlton, who are probably one of our relegation rivals this season, said that we don't have what it takes to stay up this season. See, I would fight him, but have you seen the bloke? I mean, I'd rather write him a strongly worded letter. As a generous man, I've decided to give my assistant manager the press conferences recently because I feel like he needs to actually do something at the club. We're only in the second game, Richard. I don't think the morale is going to plummet that early. And also, apparently, he has no relationship with me whatsoever, despite the fact that we've worked together for a whole season. Oh, it's almost like me and females. The 2-0 win against Stoke was also the first game that they've lost in 13 matches, hence why I said 13 is my lucky number. See what I've done there? Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying it as if it wasn't a coincidence already. Joe Jacobson's free kick also saw him named in Team of the Week, and I think he is only one of 3 players who's been named in Team of the Week since I took over the club. And the other 2 were goalkeepers. The Barnsley defeat also saw Gareth Oakes say on social media that we really should sell all the frauds. I mean, I can't sell all 18 of my players, can I? Alex Samuel is exempt from that as well. Zach Clough is also linked with a move to Wigan, and I'm hoping that he takes up that deal because he is not playing for me at all at the moment. I think it shows you how much I rate him when I've only got 3 wingers in the side and he still can't get in the team. The media are also lapping up the fact that David Wheeler and Kenny Jackett are reunited, despite the fact David Wheeler only played for us for 6 months, and I think his only highlight was running the ball out of play. Like, I had to watch him for 6 months and I still don't know what he managed to achieve at the club. And also Kenny was looking forward to the fact that he was going to be up against David Wheeler, and apparently my relationship with him is good. I mean, I beg to differ. Now, I did forget to mention in the last episode when I was talking about the transfers that we did bring in a new goalkeeper over the summer, and David Stockdale retired, unfortunately, which means I had to bring in another backup keeper. And Daniel Gailai, I think that's how you pronounce it, joins us from Peterborough United for 50k. He's going to be a backup to Ryan Allsop. He's a pretty decent goalkeeper. I think he did a fairly good season in League One when they got promoted, so another pretty good signing by Christopher Proud until he makes a mistake, and then he's not a very good signing anymore. And now we move into our game against Portsmouth at home, and I've decided to stick with the same formation that I've played in the last few games, despite the sort of erratic form that we've had recently. But Ryan Allsop once again starts off in goal. Gailai will take his place on the bench. Joe Jacobson, Ryan Tavazzoli, Anthony Stewart, and Jason McCarthy are probably our strongest back 4 this season, and they all take part in this match. Josh Knight, Dominic Gape, and Alex Patterson also retain their places in midfield. And our front 3 is still the same: Alex Samuel leading the line, Daryl Horgan on the left, and David Wheeler, who used to play for Portsmouth apparently, playing on the right. And also there's an appearance of Adebayo Akinfenwa on the bench. I mean, will I need him? Remains to be seen. So I had to check of Portsmouth's first team that they were going to play against us. Only 3 of those players actually play for us in real life. They've even managed to sign Nick Powell, who I signed for Huddersfield a couple of years ago when I was in the Championship, and they managed to only get him for 240k. Where was he on the transfer list when I was trying to buy players? I should mention as well that we are currently in the playoffs, and a win here would actually put us outside the top 2, so it would be handy if we actually got the 3 points here. A lot of you might think the same way as me, that when you actually play the team that you support in Football Manager, you want to destroy them, but other than that, you want them to do really well. And if we could beat Portsmouth 5-0, I would be internally grateful. The first highlight of the game came after 12 minutes, and Joe Jacobson put the ball in the box, which was headed out by Sean Raggett, and they found Jason McCarthy, and that was the end of the highlight. I'm actually being serious. That was the first highlight of the match. And amazingly, that was the only highlight of the first half. Imagine that. The ball getting headed out of the box was the only highlight in the first half of football. In the second half, and Ryan Williams found some space on the right-hand side, played the ball inside to Tom Naylor, and they found this way to Brian Fayabema, but he hit a shot which Ryan also comfortably saved. Daryl Horgan decided to start dribbling like Lionel Messi and started running at the Portsmouth defence and found his way to the edge of the box, where he then decided to finish like Lionel Richie. I hope he won't be doing that all night long. And that was the game. We draw 0-0 against Portsmouth. There was 3 highlights the entire game. What a match. What a match to pick to Wycombe. So what, we're at the 5-minute mark now, and I decided to, you know, pick the next game against Southampton to live com because there might actually be highlights for me to commentate on. You might as well call this episode the South Coast Double now because we're taking on both the South Coast teams in this episode. But I have made a few changes from the team that played against Portsmouth to play away at Southampton, and they are currently below us in the league, so I've decided to go a bit more defensive, especially when they got a strong team like their own. Osman Kaikai is the only change in defence as he comes in to replace Jason McCarthy at right back. I decided to stick with them the same midfield three, but I put them all in defensive midfield for this game. So Alex Patterson will play as the regista, while Josh Knight and Dominic Gate will play as defensive midfielders. And finally, the two changes up front sees Nick Freeman come in on the right hand side for David Wheeler, and Liam Cullen make his debut for the team up front, replacing Alex Samuel. We're going to get absolutely battered this game. I can feel it. I mean, I'm looking at that Southampton team, and it is pretty strong. It is very strong. There's even a place on the bench for Dan Nalondaloo, and I can't wait for him to come on and score against me, because that's clearly going to happen, isn't it? This may well be the toughest game I'm going to play this season. A Southampton team have been relegated and still kept the majority of their side against my Wycombe team, who should have been relegated last season, but the team that were meant to stay up decided to lose their last match. Also, I am being serious by the fact that I am playing three defensive midfielders in this match. So 7 minutes went on the clock, and I thought Southampton were getting a highlight, but Josh Knight managed to dispossess Nathan Redmond and clear the ball forward for Liam Cullen, who escaped his man, found himself one-on-one, and fired it past Fraser Forster to give us a shock lead after 7 minutes. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun, but I think this may well be a Proudy tactical masterclass again. This may well be the best 25 grand I've ever spent at this club. I was expecting some severe backlash from Southampton, and it did so prove as James Ward-Prowse found some space in the edge of the box, but his rebounded effort went flying over the bar. And James Ward-Prowse was involved again as he played through Nathan Redmond, and his shot was well saved by Ryan Alsop, who's tipped it over the bar. The highlights kept coming for Southampton, and Ollie McBurney only headed straight at Ryan Alsop from a good James Ward-Prowse corner. And then Jack Stevens managed to get down the right hand side, put a good ball into the box of Nathan Redmond, who then hit the post with his volley. I mean, I don't know how I'm still ahead here. A couple of minutes later, Gineppo found some space down the right hand side, laid the ball off of Jack Stevens, who then fired it wide from the edge of the box. And it took until the 41st minute till I get our next highlight, as Josh and I got some space in the box after Nick Freeman played it in, but his shot was blocked. And then from that resulting corner, we were counter-attacked, and Nathan Redmond then crossed the ball into the box of Ollie McBurney to head straight at Ryan Alsop again. It was half-time, and I mean, looking at those stats, I honestly cannot believe we are still leading this game. My team talk was simple: just don't get complacent. I know our goal is leading the Charms live here, but we still have a chance of getting all 3 points from this. It took only a minute for Southampton to get another shot on goal, as Jack Stevens got some space on the edge of the box, and he hit a weak shot, which Ryan Alsop once again comfortably saved. Best goalkeeper in the league, I'm calling it now. And Southampton started cranking up the pressure, and Gineppo found some space on the right hand side again, and Joe Jacobson, I thought, cleanly tackled him, and the referee gave him a penalty. Are you actually joking me? He's won the bloody ball! And just when I thought I couldn't get any more luck, James Ward-Prowse stepped up and fired the penalty wide. Okay, I'm gonna whisper it quietly here, but I'm growing in confidence. We might actually take all 3 points now. James Ward-Prowse then tried to make amends with that penalty miss by hitting a free kick straight into Ryan Alsop's arms again. And then on the 62-minute mark, Southampton got a corner into the box, and Ollie McBurney looked like he was going to fire it in until Joe Jacobson put in a great block. Bloody hell, this game is so much more interesting than the Pompey match I picked.
You're goddamn right.
It was at this time I decided to make my first substitution of the match, and Liam Cullen came off to be replaced by Adebayo Akinfenwa. I think the panic started setting in as well, because Osman Kaikai had the ball and under no pressure whatsoever decided to boot the ball as far as possible into the stand. And then a minute later, Gineppo got some more space down the right hand side, ran at our defence, and then fired a shot which Ryan Alsop once again just caught. I mean, this guy is catching everything. And it was another minute later, and he pulled off one of the best saves I've ever seen, as Ollie McBurney was once again denied after this great cross into the box by Ryan Bertrand. And talking of Ryan Bertrand, he had a chance only a minute later as well. I mean, every highlight was a minute later as he fired it straight at Ryan Alsop. And with 18 minutes left on the clock, these were the stats. I mean, look at that. Look at that.
I'm not fucking worried, mate!
15 minutes left on the clock, and Jack Stevens put a good ball into the box, but it found its way to Daniel Podence, who came off the bench, and he contrived to fire it wide. We very rarely ventured into the Southampton half in the second half of football, but Nick Freeman got a ball into the box, and Darryl Horgan somehow managed to miss when it should have been easier to score. And then a couple of minutes later, Southampton got the ball into the box again through Jack Stevens, and Nathan Redmond had 2 shots blocked, and then somehow managed to hit the post when it was easier to score. Southampton were leaving a lot of room at the back as they were trying desperately to get an equaliser, and David Wheeler ran through but then hit a weak shot straight at Fraser Forster. And then deep in his injury time, Trevor Clark, who had come off the bench, found himself some space on the left hand side, ran into the box, and instead of shooting decided to cross it into the box when no one was there. And from that resulting counter-attack, El Yunusi played the ball to Ollie McBurney, who fired it well over the bar, and that was pretty much it. We we had managed to do it. I know we had managed to do it. The referee blew for full time, and we had somehow come away with 3 points. I have no idea how we pulled that off. I mean, just look at those stats. How have we won the game? It really is shithouse club de football.
Give us